But let's go back a bit though. So because you started Megaforce Records in order to release the Metallica record, were they kind of hand in hand?
Yes. Metallica brought the label. The label idea brought Metallica, and basically it was hand in hand. We didn't know what even to name the label. I talk about it, I think, in the book a little bit. We were downtown on 42nd Street in Times Square in New York City, and I see the Vigilante is playing, which was the name of the label. I said, look at that, Marsha, the name of our record company. And it's playing underneath the Megaforce. I
Right.
said, whoa, the Vigilante, the Megaforce. So I basically said, the name of this label is the Megaforce. Now, as soon as the Megaforce people, marketing company, who must have been metalheads, heard that we were doing this, they sent us all these beautiful stickers and just wonderful things to use as marketing. And we would send them out with our packages and everything. And people would say, wow, these Megaforce guys, they're serious. They got big bucks. Look what they're using for marketing, you know, all this fancy stuff. People started paying attention. And not to mention that Metallica had a little bit to do with it. You know, at first, nobody liked it in the real world of music. I mean, all the kids,
Right.
the punters loved it. But the majors, the A&R guys, the record store owners, until it started to sell on their shelves, they had no idea what this record was.
They just thought it was too fast and too heavy.
They thought it was
Right.
thug, 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 thug. You know, much too heavy. Yeah, much too heavy, much too fast, and much too brutal. But that's the way everybody wanted it. It was apparent.
What was your first impressions when you first met Metallica, when they came across country to come stay with you and record with you?
Well, they were a wild and crazy bunch of guys. To talk about a punk attitude, to talk about a thrashing mentality is an understatement when describing the guys, the boys, as they came into my house. They were really fresh, they were really loose, and they were really unhinged. They just wanted to have some drinks, and they wanted to get on with the party, and they just wanted to keep on going. And the first thing they wanted, we thought, and were correct, was to take them down to Rock and Roll Heaven, the record store. So they came down, and they all took their fifth or quart off the tray right in the front of my house. I had it there, and it wasn't there when they left. Certain people, I won't say who, were throwing up in front of the flea market, and they knew who they were and who they belonged to, and they gave me a little grief. You know, they were just bent over with the bottle and just blasting away. And that was pretty interesting, and caused me, as I said, quite a bunch of grief. If they only knew who it was that was throwing up all over the place and making a mess.
Right.
They talk about it today. They say to me, remember, I had booth 43. I was in there in booth 43. I was Laney's undergarments for kids.
So did you have a lot of role in kind of the development of the band, you know, as they were recording? Were you kind of the ipso facto manager at that point?
That's what was so beautiful about it. I was so one-on-one with Lars and James, especially Lars. We would talk like father and son at sometimes, you know. We went through everything. And we always made the law never, ever be cliche. Mm-hmm. I say it in every time I do anything on the air. You know, that was the word, never be cliche, never do what other people do, stick to your guns, be yourself. What can we do now that wasn't done before? A lot of bands talk about it, but not a lot of bands do it. And we went in the studio and did it. The album cover behind me, by the way, I created that and went in and had it shot to look like that.
Right on.
The acne on the photographs, that was all natural and no bullshit. No bullshit, no poser shit. Everything was right on. And that's the way we did it. You see this picture, it's not its permanent place. It's the Killer Ball poster is going to be a little bit higher. We just moved today. You want to call it a man cave, well, Marsha contributed, so it's not really a man cave, it's their cave. But we took it all from upstairs. We moved it downstairs so I could get in because I can't get upstairs anymore. So the first thing we put behind me was the Kill 'Em All for you, Chris.
Well, thank you. But this is something very interesting, though, Jonny. It's something very interesting. No, I had no idea that you came up with the concept of the Kill 'Em All cover. So explain what the visual means to you. I mean, obviously, it's one of the heaviest images in metal history, but what were you thinking when you came up with the concept?
Well, I came up with a lighting table. And basically, someone's head just got smashed in by a hammer.
Yeah.
And they put the hammer down on the table, and that's the blood dripping off the hammer. That, by the way, was as simple as it was. And we would do the cover in that kind of. Now, James came up with the border and the Kill 'Em All.
Gotcha.
You know, that came around the art.
Yeah.
They came up with the logo, of course, and that made the cover.